In this video, I want to show you how to do a t-test in Microsoft Excel. Our first column of data is for students in a public school. The second column of data is for students in a private school. So notice that these are not the same students. They're two completely groups of students. One is in a public school, the other is in a private school. Now to do our t-test, you need to go into a blank cell, click the formula button, and either type in t-test or select t.test. That's what we want. Now you have 4 boxes to complete. The first one is array 1, which is your data here. You can either highlight it with your cursor, and that works fine. Okay, the second array, I'll show you a different way to highlight that. You can click on the top cell in your data, do a shift, control down arrow. That's a little faster. As long as you don't have any empty cells, that should be fine. So now we have both of column A and column B data in our arrays. Now we need to make a decision about what type of tail this t-test will have. A one tail means that if you think about a bell curve, most of your information would fall within that bell curve, or either on the right or left side. It will have one tail. Typically, if you're using a 95% level of confidence, then that one tail would be a 5% rejection area. With a two tail, which is the most common, think about your bell curve, but we have a tail on each side. So instead of a 5% rejection area, it's a 2.5% rejection area. That's usually the most common, so I'm going to put a 2 here. The type is important to know. So again, this isn't the same group of children. If we used the same group and maybe did a literacy class in between, so you took a test first, a pre-test, did a literacy class, and then did a post-test, that would be a type 1, a paired sample. It's the same group, like a before and after study. This is not, it's two completely different groups. So now we need to decide if it will be a 2-sample equal variance or a 2-sample unequal variance. My assumption is that with this one, it is an unequal variance, just because we have children in a public school and children in a private school. So there is an unequal chance that they would have the same scores. One other example with this might be if we're looking at students, two different groups of students by age, to determine if their height is appropriate. If we were looking at equal variance, an equal chance that they would have the same height, we would think that a 5-year-old, let's say, would have the same height whether they're in a public school or private school. But literacy rates are different. So I'm going to go ahead and select type 3 here. Okay, so again, you have your array 1, which is the data in column A, array 2, which is the data in column B. We have a 2-tail because that's the most common, and it gives us a chance to have our information show up on either the right or left side, well, right and left side of the bell curve. And then the 3 in the type gives us the 2-sample unequal variance. So tails and type, those are 2 variables that you may need to change depending on your study. All right, and then hit OK. And this gives you your p-value. So you'll see here, I already have that plugged in. So here's our p-value. You can now just delete this to clean it up. This is our p-value, and this shows with any type of statistics, if the p-value is 0.05 or less, then it's statistically significant. In this case, it is not 0.05 or less. However, all of this data is made up, so I didn't expect it to be statistically significant. But go ahead and run this with yours, and hopefully it will work out just fine.